Welcome, everybody, to Houston Restaurant News Today. We're doing something different. We are bringing the writers of the team together because we all have things to contribute. And I think this is going to be a really fun discussion as we look back at some of the top news of this week, as well as just some of the restaurants we've been to and some of the events that we've went to. And speaking of events, some of you got to go to Menu of Menus earlier this week. How was that?
Quick fact, Menu of Menus is a big tasting event hosted by Voice Media Group, which used to own the Houston Press but does not anymore. The 2023 event marked its 21st year.
It was my first time going to Menus of Menus, so I don't really have a reference point to compare it to, but I thought it was pretty fun.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello. I ended up giving my token to Huey's. They had a off the menu item that they served, braised pork belly. It was just really good.
What about you, Min?
Yeah, it was fun. So I actually went last year as well. And prior to that, I went pretty much every year back when I was with the press, back when it kind of first started. I mean, you can definitely tell a difference between the years prior and the recent years, but I think this year was better than last year. I think the turnout was better than last year's. I think the food was better this year as well. I also really liked Huey's. It was between Huey's and Wild. That stuffed chicken wing was pretty good. Had that glaze on it, so it was pretty good. So it was a toss up between those. So I went with Huey's, just because it's like comfort food for me, right? But they were both pretty good. So yeah, it was fun. It's a good time.
Sounds like a fun event. How were Agricole Hospitality's booths?
They were busy. That one line for the empanadas was busy all night. It was I think it was what was it, a crab rangoon empanada.
Interesting. So that was cultivare, Indianola, and well, I guess they're calling it 8-row East instead of 8-row Flint.
Yeah, the line was mostly for the new 8-row East. It was really good though.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was super cool. I thought it was great for them to just get themselves out there because I don't see Agricole at a lot of events. What about the drinks? Any notable drinks or just no? Ryan's already going, no.
It was kind of cool because they found a lot of canned cocktail brands, but most of them follow the to-go laws where you have to make them out of a wine distillate, and it just wasn't something I'd pay for on my own day.
So I'm almost never impressed by canned cocktail. That it just they either don't do it right or they water it down, and I'm very spirit forward to a point that just give me a shot.
Okay.
So
And I'm with you guys on canned cocktails. I don't tend to like seltzers or canned cocktails, and if it's supposed to have alcohol, I want it to have a spirit I recognize, not a distillate.
Urban South Brewery was there, and the local brewery down there in Heights. So they had a couple of good things there. I think there was like a lemon, like it was a cucumber kind of drink that was pretty good. Yeah. And they were getting out whole cans, so that was a good thing too.
Oh, that's nice.
Everyone else is kind of pouring into a little cup, but they had whole cans for you, so that's always a win.
Yeah, I always appreciate that too. Just give me the can. Just let me go. Very cool. Well, it sounds like it was a great event, and I was really honored that we had an opportunity to kind of partner up on that event too. And hope we get to do more like that in the future. Let's dive in and talk about some of the news over the past week. The Southern Smoke Festival has been announced as far as the structure it's going to be and most of the featured chefs.
Quick fact, the Southern Smoke Foundation was founded in 2015 and since then has raised over $10.5 million to help hospitality professionals in crisis.
One thing that bothers me a little bit about the festival every year, there's no question it's a wonderful event. There's no question that all those chefs demand a certain ticket price, but I always feel like the ticket prices are a little out of reach. And then maybe especially among industry people, the very industry that those events benefit, industry folks might not be able to go because the ticket prices are usually considerable. What are your thoughts about that? Should there be maybe a lower cost, higher attendance event to kind of maybe make Southern Smoke a little more accessible to people who want to support the foundation but maybe don't have that much money?
I
Mhm.
Yeah, I went there last year because a good friend of mine donated his tickets to us. I got the tickets from Shun's owner Naoki, and if he didn't give out the ticket, I probably wouldn't be able to visit, and that's how I agree, fully agree to that. But in order for their logistics to flow fluently, if you were to price things so low, then you need to limit like how many tasting they have, and you need to backtrack that. Like coming from a event coordination background, I feel like the best way for them to do would be like a smaller tasting, like ahead of the big event, in order to do that.
Tried to do that last year. They had a lot more events last year than this year. I think there was maybe 3 or 4 where wasn't there a festival that was a little bit at a lower price point? And then they had the one that was an extremely high price point, the kind of the private one with the seafood and the oysters. So I think last year there was one event that was a slightly lower price point, and to your point, I think there was less tastings. It was more like I think a party or a street party. I'm trying to remember. But absolutely, yeah, I've never been. It's just been number one kind of, yeah, it's just really expensive, hard to get a hold of the tickets and things like that. But I've always wanted to go. I think it's a great cause. I think it's great people behind it. But yeah, there definitely should be something where like higher attendance, to your point, Phaedra, higher attendance for everyone to be able to go.
Yeah, and I do understand the pricing of the events they have. We had our gala in January. When you have so many chefs and so much to coordinate and it's fundraiser, it just demands a certain price point. I think we were on par for like a nice wine dinner. So I thought that actually our gala tickets were a great deal for people who saw the value in a chef-driven event. But I'm looking at, and unfortunately, Mario Sebastian Berry couldn't join us today because he's busy with his real job. But there's 2 events. One's Respect the Rosé, and it's $500 for individual tickets. And then the big Chef Throwdown, which is at Discovery Green this year, is, hold on, I'm looking here, $175 for general admission. So that one's, I think, maybe a little bit more accessible for what it is. I was trying to think of like, what would that lower cost event be? And I was thinking at first, like something more low cost, like tacos, but everybody does tacos, right? We've got a couple of taco events already. So I'm not sure what that event should be. I just think there should be something around maybe like $65, $75 a ticket.
Yeah.
And lots more people. Has anyone had any notable restaurant visits lately that they want to talk about?
Good or bad?
Either. This is a free country. We say what we want.
Oh
I had
man.
Okay, well, we might say what we want, but we're about to discuss a Korean barbecue restaurant with a cross-contamination problem. And no, we're not going to name the restaurant. It's new, and the issue about to be discussed was brought to the attention of management. Hopefully the staff have been trained better now.
I had one I need to talk to you about, but I actually had to talk to the owner right then and there that was here because they were doing the cooking for you. And the girl who did it took raw chicken, cooked it, and then put the tongs immediately in the banchan trays.
Oh no.
And I was like, "This is."
It's called
And
cross-contamination.
Oh no.
and I didn't realize that she'd done it with the pork earlier in the meal, but it caught the chicken clearly caught my attention, and I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Cindy said, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm-
man. And I work in
That's a
healthcare, so that's like
walkout.
super like don't do that.
But
I
I mean,
was-
for me, that's a walkout situation. There is nothing worth getting food poisoning over.
Yeah, that abruptly ended the meal.
Ryan has the worst luck for restaurant visits. He does.
Mm.
If there's some weird thing that's going to happen, Ryan's going to be there.
What was it? Fins and Feathers. They literally toppled the entire sack of menus on me at one point.
I'll talk about a good experience. Like
Please, let's talk about a good experience.
So Littles, so super excited about Littles. So I was able to go last week. Just overall, I think it was one of the best dining experiences I've had in a little while. Just, I think, Papa's, I mean, they've been around for a while for a reason, right? They've been in the game for a while. They know what they're doing. So I think just overall, even just service wise, I mean, it was just a really good experience. And the food is very, very good. I mean, obviously completely different from Papa's Seafood. Very, very good though. And the caviar, the house caviar is fantastic. I've been trying to find a time to go back just to get the house caviar. It's a white sturgeon. It's just fantastic.
That sounds amazing.
And they serve it with potato dumplings. So a little bit different. There's a radish butter. It just fantastic. I'm like, I want to go back now. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe you said in your article, this is a more chef-driven restaurant than some of the Papa's restaurants, other businesses.
Yeah, it is. Chef Jason actually came out to the table. He was talking about how he, harvested the caviar himself, and you can just see how passionate he is about it. So it was just really cool to hear about his experience, and you can see that he's put a lot into the menu and a lot of thought into it. So I think that was added to it as well. He just put a lot of thought into this menu, and you can tell.
Quick fact, Little's Oyster Bar is at 3001 South Shepherd, where Little Papa's Seafood used to be. Prices are upscale, with hot entrees ranging from $37 to $63.
I had a really nice visit at Dante's River Oaks. That is a really nice space. It's very tucked away. It's just kind of off of Mid Lane, which is just a little side street between, I think, like Westheimer and San Felipe.
Quick fact, technically the address of Dante's River Oaks is 4340 Westheimer, but it really is just off of Mid Lane.
The food was beautiful. The space is beautiful. Big open kitchen. It looks like a great date night spot. And the food's what you expect. It's kind of like more upscale, but I will say that the steak I had, and I hardly even order steaks in restaurants, but this one looked good. Their steak was perfectly prepared. It was seared on the outside, nice and rare on the inside. My one quibble about it is that I felt that they're being too cautious with the flavors. For example, they had a bergamot margarita, and bergamot is the leading flavor in like an Earl Grey tea. And I couldn't pick it up hardly at all. And it's like, well, if you're going to use this special ingredient, let it shine. There should be enough of it that I'm really catching it. And there was another dish that was like that too, where it was like, oh, we have this interesting ingredient, but no one could find it. Anybody else have any great restaurant visits lately?
The preserve it felt like award season bait, kind of good. It was everything there was pristine. The worst dish there was still better than the soup you get almost anywhere else. So I was really impressed by the entire experience, especially between the duck dish that I described in my dish, where it became 3 different dishes depending on how you mix the sauce and the rice.
Yeah, I got that impression from your article, which for those who haven't seen it yet, the article on TH Preserve, the new endeavor from the people behind Eculent and Street to Kitchen, which is up for a Beard nomination this year, or sorry, Beard Award this year. It's now open and taking reservations. And yeah, your article made it sound so good, even though, like we were talking about offline yesterday, the concepts seem disparate because Chef Benchuan is talking about ancient Thai cuisine and the roots of that cuisine, and David Skinner is leaning into his Choctaw heritage and talking about indigenous American ingredients. And you kind of wonder, it's like, how do these two things go together? I'm not sure, but it just sounds really interesting.
I think over time, if they can kind of get like the spice trade routes into the presentation somehow, it would make a lot more sense coherently as like a theme. And basically how both cultures integrated spices into their courses, and it ended up being many of the same plants that did it.
Quick fact, the tasting menu experience at the Preserve cost $149 per person. Alcoholic drink pairings are $89 and non-alcoholic are $39.
How many here have been to Eculent? How many have made the journey to Kima? Oh, Cindy, you've been. What did you think?
I liked it. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think the way my husband and I described it was that execution and presentation, of course, it's like a whole journey when you go there. The only hang up we had was that we felt like flavor profile wise, like there was nothing that was particularly unique or different, but that kind of wasn't really the point of at least the menu that they had at the time, because it'd be like things like a BLT turned into like a little bonbon. So in terms of flavors, like it's just still going to be basic, like bacon, lettuce, tomato, things like that. But it's a cool experience. Like I like what they're getting at. It's just I hate going to Kima. I hate it. So yeah, loved it. Would probably not go again, not because I didn't like the food. I just really freaking hate driving out to Kima. And even if I'm not doing the driving, I'm still just like, I don't want to do this. So that's the only thing I got against it. It's just the location.
Are you one of those inside the loop people?
Yeah. How much is it? Are you kidding me?
There's a world outside the loop.
Serve was almost antithetical, where it was about like the intensity of the flavors in some dishes, and they were all really large portions in comparison to the single bite bonbon, like a Eculent, where they give you 3 different, a soup, salad, and one other course that was all bonbon.
At the Preserve, it is a tasting menu.
Yeah, it's 12 to 15 courses depending on what's available.
Yeah, Eculent will do like 30 courses, but a lot of them are like, here's a bite.
Yeah.
Which is good, because otherwise that many courses would be just impossible. I know we don't have a lot of time left, so let's dive into 2 pieces of news of the week. Jean, probably with the big story today, Lady M, which is world renowned for their meal crepes, which stands for 1,000-layer crepes. They don't really have 1,000 layers, but they have like 20. It now has a permanent location in the Houston Galleria Mall.
That is correct. I happened to have the opportunity to visit them today and saw the CEO, Ken himself. And Lady M, a lot of their flavors are known to be like more Eastern Asian palate. It's like not too sweet. Because I think what happened, like what got him into the pastry industry, was because he used to spend his summer in Tokyo with his grandmother, and then he was like always, intrigued and love like all the sweets in Japan and like the techniques and stuff. So he came back and he studied in New York, like in a pastry school and stuff. And then that's kind of like the precursor and then, like the foreshadow of like how Lady M came to be.
I think that's one reason why I like Lady M, is it's just not so cloyingly sweet. It's just more of an ethereal, refreshing sort of experience. And you don't leave feeling like, oh my gosh, I had so much sugar. I need to just go take a nap now.
Probably one of Houston's weaknesses is that we typically rely on sugar as its own flavor.
One of the great things about places like Lady M is it doesn't rely so heavily on sugar. It's like dessert does not have to be horrible for you.
Yeah, I think moderation is the key. And also just another side news is that we are the only city global wise and also nationwide that had the guava flavor, and it's really really good. Please go try it, it's so good. Like I finished an entire piece. Okay, so go.
Quick fact. These are prestige desserts at prestige prices. A slice is $10.80, while a 9-inch cake is $108.
Awesome. Did you try the lavender too? The lavender is the other brand new flavor.
Yes, I did, but I feel like it didn't stood out to me as much as Earl Grey, which I had before. It didn't, like the blueberry jam part, the jelly part, just didn't really did a job to kind of like balance all the flavor. Like the tartness didn't really shine through. And I felt like it was like I like it because I know I like herby flavors, but for somebody who are not familiar with like herby or floral flavor, I feel like it's a turn off. It's going to be a turn off. And despite I feel like it's well done, it just for the great majority of people, I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah, lavender tends to be kind of a hit or miss flavor for people anyway. Min, do you like lavender?
I do. I love
Oh,
lavender.
good.
Yeah. I think the Blue Tile has a lavender latte. That's very good.
Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I want to dive into Penny Quarter reopening. Okay, it's not really Penny Quarter. It's now, what is it, Ryan? Refuge Coffee House and Bar, is that right?
You know, I haven't actually seen a dedicated name to it at all, like on any of the press stuff. So I have a feeling he's going to decide to keep it as Refuge or last minute name it something completely different.
Yeah. As far as I know, I think it's still just going to be Refuge Coffee Edition, I guess.
Refuge, the coffee edition. I love it.
I mean, yeah, I do think it's kind of funny that you call it Penny Quarter 2.0 because I mean, you know, kind of going back to that whole more casual daytime space, but yeah. So
I mean, I'm seriously wondering, it's like, why not just reopen it as Penny Quarter? What was wrong with Penny Quarter? Nothing.
They don't bring back that pistachio toast, so I'm just not going to go. That thing was amazing.
Tell me about that. It's the pistachio toast.
We just got Better Luck Tomorrow for it. It's fine. It's still there.
Yeah, Better Luck Tomorrow has it on the brunch menu now, but Penny Quarter introduced the pistachio, like a pistachio butter toast, and it was fantastic. It just full of texture, salt.
Yep. Just a little honey over it. Yeah.
See, I know people like avocado toast. I'm just not a big avocado toast person, but I would eat the hell out of some pistachio butter toast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would go back in a heartbeat for that. But Bobby said that they're going to keep it with just simple pastries, so I'm not sure what that all includes.
Yeah, Ryan, you have some strong feelings about the coffee that Refuge Coffee House has is going to be serving. Explain.
Tenfold is one of those coffees that you can taste it when it's by itself, but add any milk to it for a latte, flat white, whatever. All of a sudden, all you taste is the milk, and it's one of the weakest coffee flavor profiles in the city.
I beg to differ, sir.
Wow.
Okay. Your opinion can be wrong.
I
That's a
tell
strong
you.
opinion.
I mean, I do love Shayla too. I mean, I kind of miss that. I don't know. Maybe they'll bring Shayla back into the fold for this one, like they did for Penny Quarter. But I, for one, am okay with Tenfold.
I've seen Bobby a handful of times at Tenfold, and so I'm guessing he's a regular there because I think he's been there every time I've been there.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I'm very happy the downstairs is reopening with coffee and wine in any capacity under any name, because it's a great location. It's a very easy location because, you know, I go up and down Westheimer regularly. It's like, you know, I'm going to someplace downtown, or I'm going to someplace in Montrose, or even the Heights, which isn't that far away. And I would go to Penny Quarter and I would go upstairs with my laptop and I would get some work done. And so I guess my one little bit of sadness about it, not that I would want Refuge the Bar to go away, but I'm just going to miss that there's not like a loft anymore that I can go hide. Every time a place gets a loft and it's great to work in, for some reason it goes away. It happened to me at what was formerly the original Oprah Charity Saloon. And then it just got so busy, it was impossible to work up there anymore. But that's just
Watch Company. Watch Company has one of the best lofts for working.
I love Houston Watch Company, and I think it is one of the most underrated bars in the city.
It has been on my to-do list for the longest time. So what should I order there?
Their specialty is old fashions.
Yep.
Yeah, go up there, take your laptop, go upstairs, drink an old fashioned, and it's just an easy place to spend an hour or two doing nothing.
Ryan, since you're parked over there at the Ready Room in a dinosaur costume, now tell us what you like about Ready Room. I know that's one of your regular haunts.
The overall cocktail program, they're really well trained for creating things on the spot. Even though they do have a new staff now, it's still improving. Especially the original staff was just like, well, what are you feeling? It reminds me of a place called Bryant's in Milwaukee where they don't even give you a menu. They just kind of sit there, talk to you, and create based on your taste buds. They also get pretty creative. I've had everything from Malort Old Fashioned to aquavit milk punches. So.
Aquavit's one of those things I enjoy in bars. I never have a bottle at my house because there's no way I would go through it.
Yeah, I can't drink it straight anymore after 2 weeks in Iceland. I'm still feeling it.
Uh-oh. Well, we've got 2.5 minutes left. Let's go down the line really quickly with any parting thoughts. Anything. Jean, any parting thoughts?
No, not really. Just really need more recommendation in terms of new bars and where to go for craft drinks, if you guys have any recommendations.
Ryan has 2 lists. Ryan, you can email those.
I've technically got a third list too, but I've just been preparing for this year's updated list.
I got a list of old fashions, so yeah.
That's right, Cindy, you do. It's a great list too.
I was telling Jean, I hear Rosewater is great because she's trying to get me to go next time I see her.
I want to go to Rosewater. Min, any parting thoughts?
Yeah, no, just a lot of new places, obviously. And yeah, there's a lot of flashy places, but surprisingly, some of them do have some pretty good food. So that's a good thing. I think they're taking into consideration that whatever it looks like doesn't matter as long as the food is good too. So I think that's a good thing.
Ryan, end the show for us.
Mimo, M-I-M-O, over in East Downtown. That feels like if I had gone to Nancy's Hustle, like when they were first opening, or Underbelly, like that. If you go in there and it's like, oh, this is going to be a special restaurant in Houston. So that's absolutely been my favorite restaurant in a long time.
That's it for this episode. We'll see you again in a week or two as we talk about new developments in the Houston food scene.